down south, near the Sahara. All of this surrounding desert, I know it by heart. I'd never get lost. From here all the way to Algeria, I am at home. I like being free. Here no one comes to bother us. No need for politicians nor the revolution. If I had been part of that, I could have been killed. I love my desert. This is where my freedom lies. Tunisia's first truly democratic elections will take place in 1 week. All over the streets, there are signs to encourage citizens to vote on Sunday. The stakes are high. 20,000 police have been mobilized in the lead-up to the big event. The headlines. The head of the EU Observer Mission is in Tunis and has publicly declared there is a remarkable willingness to hold impartial elections in Tunisia. Tunisia's poor will be a key voting bloc in Sunday's election. 40% of Tunisia's 10 million live on less than €2 per day. This family of farm workers, for example, lives off the olive harvest.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Fabrice.
Democracy. Of course I'm for it. We're all for democracy. If I find the right party, I'd vote for them. But today I don't really know who to vote for. For now, we're just registered to vote. I don't understand any of it. In the end, I'll just vote like my son. I'm registered and I'm going to vote. I'm 18. We, all the young people, want things to change. Corruption, nepotism, cronyism, all this must stop. We want real equal opportunity. We lived under tyranny, and now we are free. Everything has changed. The next president will be afraid of the people. He will live under the scrutiny of the people. The country will be much better run. As always, the expectations are great in the wake of a revolution. Yet, like many locals in this region, this family intends to vote for a billionaire. 5 days out, Tozer. Activists campaign for Ennahda, the Islamic Renaissance Movement Party. A party largely suppressed during the Ben Ali years, and which suddenly emerged in a strong position following years of dictatorship. Today, polls show Ennahda as the favorite. As women, we are here to tell the world that Ennahda is not anti-woman or anti-freedom. These are stereotypes, etched in our memories, in our brains, but it is not true. I am a woman with Ennahda, and I am free. In politics, as a part of national policy, religion was banned. When I say I love democracy, that is the best expression for this moment. Radio Tunis Inter at 7:30 p.m. and now the news. Nearly 8 million voters are eligible to vote among 11,000 candidates to fill 217 seats. 80 out of more than 110 legalized political parties have campaigned for this unprecedented election. The big favorites are the Islamic Ennahda, promising a national unity government. We promise to do everything to meet the demands of the revolution and create a free, independent Tunisia. 4 days out, Redeyef. Redeyef is, or rather was, the city of phosphate, a city that was rich. But Redeyef is also a legendary city of the revolution, a city that holds firm to its convictions. And its walls honor its martyrs. It was one of the first cities to say no to Ben Ali. January 2008, 2 years before anyone else, the people of Redeyef took to the streets, denouncing unemployment, low wages, corruption, and nepotism. Faced with these protesters, Ben Ali mobilizes the army, police, and special forces who open fire. The riots last 6 months, leaving 4 dead and dozens seriously injured. Adnan was at the forefront of these protests. He will never walk again without limping. But thanks to the solidarity of the citizens of Redeyef, he opened this small phone boutique.
بين التليفون انت قبل بشوي لا تولع شيء كي نطلع تقول له
That's my foot. The bullet struck me right there. The cop went into a firing position, he aimed, and then he fired. Look at the condition of my foot. That's the police of Ben Ali. My cousin was hit twice, and they used explosive bullets. Look, my cousin was badly wounded. His name was Hafnawi. He died after being shot twice. Those who shot and tortured us are still out there, walking free. That's how it's been up until now. There's no justice, and nothing has changed. Other than the fact that Ben Ali fled, the rest is just as it was before. So why so much pessimism from Adnan and his family? Is it because of so many young graduates who remain unemployed, 60% to be exact? Or are these phosphate mines forced to modernize and in doing so have left 6,000 workers out of work in the course of a few years? So when you're young and custodian of such a charged history, what could you possibly expect from Sunday's elections? I'm going to vote. And I'll do it in the name of stopping a new dictatorship. Well, I will not be voting. I'm not against any of the parties, I'm not against my country, but I will not vote until they actually respond to our demands. Once I have my rights, I'll go vote with a light heart. How do you want me to go vote when my family, my parents, my uncles, my aunts are still starving? No, I don't agree. The first duty in a democracy is to vote. We all must go out and vote on Sunday. Real democracy is when there's no more fear at all. We're no longer under Ben Ali, and yet we still have fear in us. Today, yes, there's a bit more democracy, but basically for us, it's democracy in name only. Nothing has changed. We just removed Ben Ali's photo. But it's still the same regime. Look there. There's where Ben Ali's photo was. All we want is to be able to work and enjoy the wealth of the region. In the end, we had a revolution to stay poor. For me, and I also speak on behalf of all my friends, I can tell you that the word democracy is just a gimmick. Everybody's talking about it, but it's just a bunch of hot air. If we had a job, we would feel that the state cares about us. Once Tunisia recognizes that we are ready to shed our blood for it, once our beloved country behaves like a mother to us, then we can really talk about democracy. Let's not forget, before there was never any talk of politics. It was taboo.
وشام في لحم يخضر كل واحد في سحر السابع تصحى دم وحبار وطابع في ورقة محزن سيد البشير يا خريب رح شوف حال رديف الدقلة في عراجينا هزوها من حينا باعوها بالدينار على سرد القنطار سيد البشير يا خريف رح شوف حال رديف الدقلة في عراجينا هزوها من حينا باعوها بالدينار على سرد القنطار.
3 days before the election, a dozen volunteers aboard this citizen bus land on the Isle of Kerkena. 3 days before this historic vote, they mobilized their last group of volunteers to get out the vote. Hello, how are you? I'm with Citizen Bus, a nonpartisan association. You know that it is so easy to make mistakes while filling the ballot. Only tick one box, otherwise your ballot will be null and void. You are only allowed 3 minutes in the voting booth, so you will really need to concentrate. If you do not know how to read, watch closely. Each party is represented by a symbol. You decide to mark the box of your choice and put the ballot in the ballot box. These students and young professionals have temporarily put their job, studies, leisure aside for the cause. For the past 2 months, they have been traveling through the markets, suburbs, and factories to encourage their fellow citizens to embrace this newly acquired freedom. Do you know the different parties? Listen to the news, compare, choose, and go vote. Hello, Grammar, how are you? I have voted, my child. But you couldn't have voted. The election is on Sunday. Are we obliged to go? No, but it's better if you do. Are you at least registered? Yes, yes. May God give you health and long life, grandmother. This is all we want. Thank you, my child. And above all, God help Tunisia for its peace and glory. We are an independent group. We are not a party. We don't have an agenda. We just want people to go vote. Are you going to vote? Yes. May God bless you. We are going to vote for the Popular Petition Party. Sure, if you want to, but let your friend choose for herself. It is important for every Tunisian to make their choice freely. Everyone is responsible for his or her vote. It's very personal. I know, but I have no idea who to vote for, so I asked for some advice. Those who cannot read nor write can take someone with them. There has never been any dialogue with the people, ever. In fact, what is most important in this line of work, and many people who want to be elected have not understood this, they must go out there at the grassroots level, and before saying anything to them, go listen to the people. You could call it a kind of citizen psychoanalysis. We never had any dialogue before, ever. This is the first time that people can talk and have a sympathetic ear. 3 of these citizen buses like this one opened a new dialogue throughout Tunisia. These 150 democracy activists have managed to educate hundreds of thousands of their fellow countrymen. They got the word out, but will their message be heeded? The answer will come within 3 days. Sfax, 5 p.m. An electric atmosphere in the streets of the city center. At the origin of this fever, a film, Persepolis, was released 10 days earlier on a Tunisian TV channel. And in this film, a passage which portrays God speaking.
Mais alors, petite, qu'est-ce que tu fais là?
Je suis morte.
Mais mon enfant, tu n'as pas compris que ton heure n'est pas encore venue?
Ah bon?
Ma fille, il va falloir te bouger un peu.
2 weeks later, Sfax is still reeling from it. On one side, the secularists protesting against threats from Islamists on the direction of the channel. On the other, believers disgusted by the way God is being represented, a blasphemous representation in their eyes. Past the moment of surprise, the secularists turn to respond. We just came out of a dictatorship. We do not want another dictatorship. We want freedom for all, Muslims and secularists alike. Freedom for everyone. Let her speak. He dresses as he wants. I dress as I want. He says what he wants. I talk and I live as I want. Live and let live. Are you worried at all? No. Why be afraid? The tension rises up a notch when the Salafists, radical Islamists, get into ambush positions, storm the square, and force the secularists to retreat. We want Tunisia to be a modern country, but not a secular country, that's true. You saw how we were driven out, how we were attacked. We were not allowed to say we wanted to be free. We wanted to build the Tunisia we dreamed of. All these young people are eager to be free. And I am old, yet I too want to be free. You talk about freedom, okay? But we are for freedom. And we are for civilization. We are not extremists. But you must respect our religion as a part of your freedom. You must not exceed the limits of society. I'm all for censorship, as in censoring censorship. Jalel is a history professor. He is also a believer, but in this conflict of values between what's sacred for some and the freedom of others, he chose his side. The ground is full of slogans that we wanted to throw out there. Slogans calling for peace, calling for a better Tunisia, and no, we do not want any of it, sir. We do not want any of it. Look. Do not mess with our religion. As the new Tunisia rises from the ballot box, which choice will prevail? Secular freedom, touted by Tunisians like Jalal, or an Islamist government that brings religion to the forefront of Tunisian politics? The election is just 2 days away. We head to Kasserine, and we return to the scenes from the day before. Who are these restless religious fundamentalists of Sfax? Just a violent or marginal minority, or the dark side of the Islamist party Ennahda? As we arrive in Kasserine, the phone rings. It is Jalal, the history teacher that we caught up with the day before in Sfax. He sounds concerned. He asks us to call him back from an internet cafe. I was told that a video was circulated about me on Facebook, calling me a Zionist, a homo, a son of a bitch, among other things. Well, it actually does not shock me. It doesn't really scare me at all because these fascist methods are just part of their doctrine. There was a group of young people who followed me everywhere. Perhaps they felt that I was saying things that should have never been said, and they latched onto me like a leech. They wanted explanations, and they wanted to force them out of me. They wanted to intimidate me, but I refused to give in. These are sectarian, reactionary, fascist methods that all Tunisians, Democrats who love their country, reject. Young people will be gathering tomorrow in Pastor Square in Tunis to denounce the violence following the television broadcast of the film Persepolis. Election organizers also wanted to take the opportunity to denounce the dangers of a return to censorship that threatens the country. This march is in direct response to several violent protests from the Salafists expressing their outrage at the broadcast of the film Persepolis. Rough times for secularists. This cafe in Kasserine is really nothing exceptional. But have a closer look. Here women and men are side by side, a rarity in the Arab and Muslim world. And it's in this very cafe where Rashid introduces himself to us. He enthusiastically explains how the local chapter of Ennahda will be celebrating the end of the campaign. He insisted on us following him. Given the climate of the final days leading up to the election, it works out perfectly, even if the invitation has a somewhat ulterior motive to it. We are now with the local chapter of Ennahda, but far from this elaborate ceremony promised to us. But even more interesting, however, is this meeting between unemployed youth and Benani Walid at the top of the list of Ennahda and Kasserine. Fascinating to observe the inner workings of Ennahda's grassroots strategy. Tell your wife that when she sees a pigeon with a star in the middle like that, that's it. That's what you check. On the ballot, it will be in black and white. They don't know, as they are illiterate. They don't know what they need to do to vote. And there are another 1,800,000 in Tunisia just like them. So I explained to them on election day, when they see the pigeon and inside the pigeon there is a star, and when they see the pigeon and the star inside, they check the box with a horizontal line. At this stage, they are looking for someone to guide them towards the right path. They trust us. One speech to voters and another for foreign journalists. This is the regional secretary general of the party and will stick to his message this time, as he comments on current politics and what exactly transpired surrounding the film Persepolis. Freedom of expression is an inalienable right, a fundamental principle. But then on the other side you have sacred things. In every nation there is something sacred. For us, anything that takes on our religion and the majority of our population, which is Muslim, this is unacceptable. Do not even think of turning God into something that is material, tangible, or human. It is unacceptable to any Muslim, as stated in our religion. Even freedom has its red lines, its limits. Do you allow yourself to go out naked on the pretext of being free? No. This is a red line for the nation. But what will the nation say to this restriction on freedom? The answer is just over 24 hours.
لو تعرف يا عشير عمري قديش نهواك من كتر الشوق خفت عمري لا يضيع وراك زينك خلاك والله عندي ليلة البنات واخترت هواك ليا واحد انتي بالذات.
A red line for a red line. When Ennahda wants to require sanctuary for religion and the prophet, the modernists and the secularists respond, lay off my freedom of expression. The election is just 24 hours away. To illustrate the stakes in this battle, have a good listen to the incredible outspokenness of these women having a consultation at a family planning center. So when did you get your tubes tied? I did it because I was working in a family planning. They came for me. I spent the night in a hospital, and I was operated on. And ever since, I started encouraging other women to do so. I told mothers who had 4 or 5 children, it's enough. That's a lot. Now just focus on raising them properly. Feed them. Dress them. There are over 2,000 centers like this across the country. A doctor, a midwife, a psychologist all provide consultations each and every week. Everything is free of charge. This policy was developed under Bourguiba. Abortion has been permitted without restrictions since 1973. Now that's 2 years before France. How old are you? 26. How long have you had an IUD? 21 days. Are you having your period? No. This leaflet will explain how to do a mammogram. This one is for you. When a woman is illiterate, she looks at the photos. First, she gets in front of a mirror. She raises her arms. This woman did not ask to have her face blurred, but given the theme, we have taken it upon ourselves to do so. Ever since I got pregnant, every morning my husband asks me if I feel fine. He takes very good care of me. My husband is a very open-minded guy. The first few months, I was in pain during intercourse. He was the one who told me to come here. And he understood that we had to stop having sex. He takes very good care of me. Here, with the midwife or doctor, it's okay to talk about these things. I don't talk about sex with just any man. There are women who consult with us for sexual problems with their husband. She does not experience pleasure with her husband. She feels pain during sexual intercourse. She cannot stand it. She is not ashamed. She tells everything to the midwife. The midwife leaves us with this message. You know, here as everywhere in Tunisia, life is inextricably linked to three places: the school, the mosque, the clinic. And Wu is he who messes with that. The message was very clear. But in the secrecy of the voting booth, will voters remember that? Good evening. We're just a few hours away from this historic event, the election of the Constituent Assembly. Over 8,000 polling stations are ready. Members from each of the precincts are already trained and will be there tomorrow from 7 a.m. to greet voters. October 23, the big day all over Tunisia. But here in Sidi Bouzid, it has even more significance, more than elsewhere. Today, they will be voting all over the country thanks to the sacrifice of one of the city's children. Mohamed Bouazizi set himself on fire here on December 17, 2010, sparking protest for democracy all over the country. Bouazizi was young and unemployed, forbidden by the police of Ben Ali to sell some fruit to survive. Out of nowhere, Tunisia's youth poured out into the streets, rallying and brandishing fruit. It was emotionally charged. Chants and slogans on placards quickly became political. With the help of internet and social networks, the revolt will win over the entire country. So naturally, 10 months later, when the inhabitants of Sidi Bouzid find themselves lining up to participate in the first free and fair vote in Tunisia, they can be proud. They know they have made history in their country. They have brought freedom and democracy to Tunisia. You know, this is the first time I've ever voted, and I am very happy. I feel like a bird soaring through the sky. I never thought that day would come when I vote in a democracy. I came with my wife and my daughter to vote. It's also the first time my wife has ever voted. She was not allowed to vote before because she was a police officer and officers could not vote. Now she is free as I am. I'm 57 years old. I did not vote for Bourguiba nor Ben Ali, the deposed leader. Before, I would rip the other ballot and put in the red one of Ben Ali and Bourguiba. Yes, I ripped off the green and brown one, and I put in the red one. Yes, it's true. Before, I was told to tear up the ballots and put the red ballots for Ben Ali in the ballot box. Today I am free. I can vote and no one will be looking over my shoulder.
والله شد فيها ثم تمشي جايزوني فرنسا راني لا يعطوني كلمه
I'm like a king. I am the king now. This is not a little thing. We now have a lot of democracy and freedom.
يا نخلة وادي البيت ردي خبر النجوم ردي خبر النجوم.
The main headline this hour. Historic elections for the Constituent Assembly have taken place peacefully and attracted huge crowds. The participation rate reached 80% in some constituencies. This is a first bright success for this young democracy. For the results, however, it will take a little longer. Kairouan, the following morning. Given the very high turnout, polling stations were overwhelmed, and the counting of votes takes longer than expected. In a gymnasium in the city, there are hundreds of volunteers. They just pulled an all-nighter. After decades of rigged elections, stuffed ballot boxes, the vote counting is transparent. Official results will be announced during the evening. Whatever the outcome of these elections, the real victor will be Tunisia's new-founded democracy. And here, this victory for democracy has a face. Kilani Ahmed is the president of the Electoral Commission of the region. Appointed to this position for his integrity. Throughout his life, Kilani has fought for democracy. He founded the Tunisian chapters of Human Rights and Amnesty International in Kairouan. And never, even in his wildest dreams, could he have ever imagined such a scenario. These are historic elections. Before we were children, women and men who had no value. Imagine for 23 years, not only were we denied freedom, basic human rights, but we were also deprived of smiling, laughing. We were under a dictatorship, not of a man, but a thug, a drug dealer, a family that takes a work of art just to make a sink out of it. Who could not be ashamed of this kind of situation? We were at rock bottom. Kilani was considered dangerous, but not just for Ben Ali. Dangerous to all totalitarians, including radical Islamists. For them, Kilani, the leftist, is the devil. About 6 years ago, in the middle of the night, the Salafists toss a Molotov cocktail into the bedroom of his mother-in-law and his little 3-year-old girl. They will just barely get out alive. Now the Islamists all know. They know I am to the left. They know I am a secularist. They know I fight for human rights. But they also know that I am the one person who has defended them most in this Islamic capital. It is I who defended their right to wear headscarves, although I am against the headscarf and they know it. Because I would also have defended the girl wearing a miniskirt or shorts in the same way. Because that's her body. And when a girl wants to wear shorts, it's her choice. And when a girl wants to wear clothes that go all the way down to her ankles, that's her choice. For me, that's what freedom is about. Do you know Voltaire's famous quote? Not exactly. Something like, I don't agree with you, but I'd give my life to defend you. Something like that. Whatever the outcome of the vote, Kilani can savor the moment. He has already won. Radio Tunisian Terre. It's 7:30 p.m. and now the news. Tonight's top story. Tunisians holding their breath. They are still waiting for the official results of the election for the Constituent Assembly, but Ennahda is already proclaiming victory. They announce they have won over 99 seats, plus for constituencies abroad. 10 p.m. Vote counting center. Minutes before the announcement of the official results, Kilani Ahmed, wearing his best suit, speaks. Before this historic moment in our beloved country, we were outcasts. So we must be careful, keep fighting for our freedom of expression. Cheers ring from the Islamists. Seething sarcasm from the future winners, or sincere tribute to the work of Kilani Ahmed, the old fighter cracks. It's midnight. Announcement of the results. Ennahda prevails in the Kairouan region with 42% of the vote. Joy in the Ennahda camp, and profound disappointment for the young revolutionaries who let victory slip past them. Solemnly, they begin singing the national anthem. Ben Ali's party, the RCD Democratic Constitutional Rally, has simply become bearded and has taken the name Ennahda. This is what's happening to our country. They stole our revolution, the youth revolution. All those who did not have a voice in this legal vote, and now they are sick. The votes and seats we won are legit. They were bought. No, they were not bought. But of course they were, with the money from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Iran. We spend years and years with dictators, and we always eventually return to reason. And Islam represents reason. So we've made a return to reason. That's the only point to be made. Islam is the true democracy. Islam is the true freedom. Islam is the true expression of values. So why not vote for Ennahda? During the evening, the national results come in. The Islamist victory is confirmed. All over the country, they come in well ahead. In the countryside, in the cities, in the poorer districts, as in the wealthier suburbs of Tunis. Even Tunisians abroad voted overwhelmingly for the Islamists. With 38% of the national vote and 41% of the seats in the Constituent Assembly, Ennahda is the clear winner of these elections. Kairouan the next day. The Islamists enjoy a resounding victory, while the young revolutionaries and Democrats are reeling from the election results. All of the modernist parties who refused to demonize Ennahda came in second and third. For the secular parties, however, it was a veritable stampede. So why did the Islamists win? Could it have anything to do with them offering the Tunisian people wedding ceremonies and circumcisions at no charge, as well as food aid? Or perhaps with the help of the money from the Gulf oil monarchies? What is certain is that Ennahda's messages of order, family, and morality connected with voters. Following this landslide victory, it is this particular speech that has those on the losing side up in arms. The discourse is from the senior imam of the Mosque of Kairouan, a voice that counts. Kairouan is indeed the fourth holiest city of Islam. We just told the faithful, think very carefully before voting. Make the right choice. Think and vote for those who are trustworthy and have a good program. The success of Ennahda is the success of the people. It reflects the will of the Tunisian people, a people who are predominantly Muslim. I am not secular, and I do not like secularism separating religion from life. Religion is life. I want our political model of government to be Islamic. It must consider the foundations and principles of religion and Islamic civilization. But of course, being open to others. We should not oppose others assaulting or excommunicating them, but I don't think one can be both Muslim and secular. Was it a justification of having a model of Islamic governance or a real openness towards others? What can we take away from this speech? For the moment, we can only conclude the winner was being conciliatory. As you get closer to Tunis, the more you feel how high the stakes have been raised following the outcome of these elections. What will be the makeup of the new constitution? What will be the new centers of power? Who from Ennahda or its allies will land key government positions? Above all, what exactly do the winners of the election want? A question that is at the heart of the trial that opens several days after the election in Tunis. Nabil Karoui, head of the Nesma TV, the channel that broadcasts Persepolis, was summoned to court, not by Ennahda or even by the Salafists, but by the prosecution. The prosecution which took into account the protests of Muslims outraged by the insult to their religion. These are petitions, between 100,000 and 120,000 signatures of people calling for Nesma TV to be shut down since it violated the morals of the people and all that is sacred. For Nesma TV lawyers Mayak Souri and Abdelaziz Mzouri, this is living proof that times have changed, and not for the better this time. Today, apart from the fact that this has been brought to trial, we have been excommunicated and labeled infidels. That is to say that anyone who dares to publish an article, broadcast a film that does not fit into what they call Islamic orthodoxy, that person is considered an infidel. Excommunicated as an infidel? Isn't that a threat from another era? Yet the case is far from over for the defenders of Nesma TV. I'll give you a prime example. Here is Mr. Nabil Karoui, with his throat cut, blood all over, and Quranic inscriptions, and we know exactly who is behind this. We know whose page this is. This is incredibly violent. This is totally unacceptable. These threats are very real, and just to show you how real they are, following the release of Persepolis, Molotov cocktails were thrown at the house of Nabil Karoui. And yet, as surreal as it may sound, it is actually the victim who is on trial. It's high noon, and the hearing is just underway. The courtroom is packed. To the right, the lawyers taking on Nesma TV. One of them pulls out his cell phone and films the audience. One of Nesma's lawyers notices and reacts. Concerned about the images being misused for propaganda that Islamists could spread all over the internet.
غير الصحافة ما يصور حتى واحد سيد رئيس ولو أنه محامي لأن بعض الزملاء قاعدين يصوروا في منوفر. كان يجوز خلي يصور خلي يعمل فينا تو يصور هذا كي نحبوا احنا تو نحبوا نحن تعطينا جواب واضح على هذا السؤال اللي هو ماهوش سؤال ممنوع عنا السلام عليكم.
The presiding judge loses control of the debate. Recess. Leaving the courthouse, Nesma lawyers are very pessimistic. After years of complicity with Ben Ali, the lawyers are very concerned that the judiciary is already cozying up to the country's new leaders. What worries me today is that justice still functions under popular pressure, the pressure of the street. You could even call it populist pressure. And that's unfortunate. And I hope that justice will find a way to show us another face, other than the face that we've seen so far. Justice which, up until now, has been dependent on the strongest voices, dependent on those who rule. Before it was Ben Ali's party, now it is the Ennahda. Like it or not, the voters have already decided who they want. They clearly said they did not support the secularists in the case of Persepolis. It was clear that they did not hold it against Ennahda for siding with religious conservatives and violent protesters. Today, the Islamists, allied with some Democrats, are in power. It's the moment of truth for Tunisia. Can Islamists be trusted? Can Tunisia govern with Ennahda at the helm of the government? Are Islam and democracy compatible?